Hello everyone and welcome back to another Mars stock chart planning update video. We're first going to get started with Bitcoin like we always do, just to understand a little bit better of what Mara could potentially do going forward. And just remember guys, everything in this video is just my own personal opinion. It is not financial advice because I am not always right on my trades, but I do tend to stick with them until I am proven wrong. But to go ahead and get started guys, we all know Bitcoin. I went over this yesterday's video. But we've been moving in a sideways pattern. We're still in the discounted portion of this overall trend. And we have seen these ups, ups, and we're in the downs once again. And when it comes to the smaller picture looking forward, we have seen, these extension support areas being filled very nicely. It got filled a little bit further up here. This one got filled there. We've seen them all get filled very nicely, and then we tend to move higher. And as we stabilize, we tend to move higher a little bit after that. And now, before we jump into Mara, just real quick for the closer up picture, we have seen another little bit of a triangle pattern forming with Bitcoin. We started breaking out from the upside, got rejected a little bit with the top liquidity line, and then after that, we continued to consolidate at the resistance area of this triangle pattern zone. And with that being said, we continue to see a little bit more sideways, but the RSI continues to reset as the price does this thing. And this just further strengthens the bullishness involved with Bitcoin. It could be due to the mass adoption and continued adoption that we're seeing, and more companies are interested in buying Bitcoin as well as other states and countries. But we can see that kind of supporting the price from the background by keeping the price stable, not seeing prices dip down and making new lows. And just again, a little bit more for this smaller picture, we're in the more premium area and we're holding it quite well. We're above the 120 moving average and we can start moving up higher real soon. It is currently the end of February. Basically, as you can see, we have 2 more trading weeks left. So, anything can happen. We see this, I see a lot of strength building up, and I do believe towards the end of February we will see higher prices. I've said this many times before. We have a few resistance areas to look at. We have this resistance area that can act as a little bit of just more of a corrective pull if we are going to move down. But if we can hold this area and start moving up higher, we can go to the next target area, which is right here. We've seen imbalances like this get filled plenty of times, like down here. We've seen it get down filled right here and many times in the past. And then these resistance areas tend to get filled before moving. So we saw it right here on a downtrend. It got filled, continued to move. And then we've seen it in the smaller picture as well. If I can find another one here. During the FOMC meeting, we had another one filled here and it kept moving higher. We had a similar one here, filled, moved higher. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that happen here as well, where we see the price try to fill in this area. It can stabilize for a short period of time before moving up higher and reaching this next imbalance area as a little bit of a target. And then after that, a little bit more consolidation, and then we can start breaking past these liquidity walls and finally hit all-time highs within this area. And I believe this can all happen very soon. If those of you that are a little bit too cautious with Bitcoin right now, which is absolutely acceptable, you can consider this to be the February target towards the end of it. But I do believe this is a really good February target for the end of February. It's very much possible. Worst scenario, it happens early March, but I'm sticking with this because it makes sense to me, and we are definitely getting ready to make the next move up. As you can see, if you're just looking at basic patterns, down, up, down, and we can go up again. We don't have to, but seeing these support areas being filled very nicely, seeing these liquidity walls down here being held or holding very strong, and then we're trading above the 120 moving average once again. I wouldn't be surprised if we start moving up higher real soon. So the way this correlates with Mara, and also you guys got to keep in mind that even if we do come down, we have the 120 as support, and then we also have these other liquidity walls down here that can act as support once again, overlapping with the supportive fib extension down here, which can still be in play. But any dip down into these areas will in my opinion, will quickly uh, recover. It'll be very short lived, and it will quickly recover back up into, you know, forming the uptrend that we're all waiting on. Now, when it comes to Mara, as you guys know, since it is February, we have earnings coming out soon. It says right here, post market of February 26, 2025. So it's something just to keep an eye on. That's something that's gonna happen very, very soon. Um, Consensus is believe that they are gonna have a positive earning, and it's quite strong, which is, in my opinion, reflecting the strong bullish momentum that Bitcoin has had during Q4 of last year. So the way this influences Mara now is it's sort of the same thing where we see higher prices coming soon. We have two levels of imbalances that can act as resistance, but also it can act as a magnet on the way up. So what I mean by that is that if you kind of saw here, it formed a resistance right here in this imbalance, and it can definitely happen again. But we have this other level right here to keep an eye on, and it's just above the 120 moving average. So 3 levels of resistance after we break this first short-term resistance, and it can have a quick pump up, and then it can be rejected very quickly. So these are very important, cautious areas, in my opinion, to be aware of and to maybe consider a potential sell as we continue to fluctuate throughout this year as Bitcoin begins to start it's the euphoria stage that everyone kind of is waiting on, where Bitcoin is going to start pumping up a lot and potentially reaching 150 to 200,000. And when that happens, we can start seeing these broken, and we can finally go past up this purple line and finally start trading back in the premium areas like we've seen back here previously. So I don't believe the 20s are very far off. But when it comes to the short-term risk, is this resistance line is still holding quite strong. As you can see, it got rejected right here, and it potentially can be rejected here. It just depends on how Bitcoin does over the weekend, and it depends also on, if Bitcoin truly, yes or no, does have a bullish end of the month where it pumps up into those areas I was kind of showing you guys a moment ago. But when it comes to that short-term resistance for Bitcoin, where it can easily come down back into those little support areas we see over here, a little bit of support here. This can easily influence Mara right here, Mara to come down, retest the this support area down here that's been holding quite strong for a while. As you can see, it's been holding strong for a while. So it could come down back to that, and it can also at the same time retest the red fib extension support area that I like to use. We've seen that happen many times before, where it finds support usually at the more premium end of it, and then it starts to continue to consolidate a little bit before it pumps up higher. Just like right here, consolidate a little bit before it pumps up higher. So we can easily see this price also more realistically, and I would prefer this to happen because it will create a double bottom, and it will create a little bit more bullish pressure to then pump up and try to reach these imbalance areas right here. So that's what I'm hoping on. I'm hoping that we have a double bottom, just because it will create more of that bullish pressure. But at the same time, it's going to be very short-lived, just like in Bitcoin, in my opinion. So you can easily see it come down. If Bitcoin starts pumping during market close hours, for example, then we can easily see Mara create easy imbalance as it pushes up higher, finds resistance, and then potentially come back down to the imbalance. And we can see that wavy fluctuation sort of like that before, building enough momentum to then start pumping up and trading back in the 20s once again. So that's just one thing to be cautious about, guys, is time and the short-term risk. As in short-term risk, as in we can easily come back down to this support line plus the red support area, and then quickly recover. So that's the risk. But the time aspect of it is that if you are looking to, in my opinion, hold on to Mara throughout this bull run, or if you like Mara under $20 and you're like, hey, $20, over the next few months as Bitcoin continues to progress towards this bull market, it can easily be above $20 quite a bit. So that's the time risk. Is that like, are you going to try to just time the market? Hopefully it comes down here and it'll create a really good buying opportunity. If that were to happen, and then the time involved in that happening, if you can grab it, if it does happen, and if not, if it pumps up higher, because it's going to be very short lived. So there's a big risk on trying to capture this bottom because it could potentially happen. It doesn't have to. I don't think it will go much lower. I don't even think it will break below 15. It can potentially break below 16 into the 15s, but not below 15. But it can easily, very, very much easily do that and then recover very quickly. If it doesn't happen, then it can potentially keep rising a little higher, up, excuse me, up to the 120 moving average. Excuse me. But that's just the risk involved in trying to capture the perfect setup. Most realistically, I do believe it's going to come down and potentially make somewhat of a double bottom. Even though we are continuing a downtrend, so it makes sense for this to maybe get rejected a little bit, but then it will be very quickly recovered if that were to happen. And then again, resistances up here, very strong resistance. There's also a potential imbalance right here, as you can see on the hourly chart, up in this area. So I will mark that as well, just to have it here. So something like this. So we have plenty of resistances up here. Very, very important area to be cautious of. But then again, we can as easily as we can come up here, as easy as coming down and then quickly recovering from a double bottom. So yeah, guys, this is my opinion on Bitcoin. I do see higher prices soon, but there is that short-term risk just to keep aware of. And even this one short-term risk, even if it is short-lived, it's still a hefty drop, as you can see. So just to keep mindful of that. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. But, be patient, understand short-term risk, and understand the bigger picture at the same time. So yeah, I'll catch you guys soon. Take care.